Regular meeting of the Salem City Council is being held in person on Thursday, January 9th, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on January 7th, 2025 at 11:39 a.m. The meeting is being recorded and is live on SATV and Zoom unless technological issues interrupt the transmission. Council is absent, none. Councilor Varela votes to waive the reading of the previous meeting. Everyone please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Ty Hapworth. Flag, United States of America, to the Republic, which is one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. May be seated. Thank you. Salem City Council honors that this land is Nomkeg, a fishing place where generations of Nomkeg people from the Pawtucket Band of the Massachusetts tribe lived and passed through the centuries. We acknowledge that this is unceded indigenous land and also acknowledge that the Massachusetts tribe will continue to honor and hold this land into the present. Salem City Council is committed to having ongoing meaningful dialogue with all indigenous peoples by presence in Salem in order to dismantle the legacies of oppression and inequities that persist today. Public testimony. Public testimony is not to exceed 15 minutes, not a public hearing. Question and answer period. Sign-in must occur 30 minutes prior to the meeting. The president shall, depending on the number of speakers, set a time limit not to exceed 3 minutes, which each individual presenting testimony must abide. Tonight, we have no one signed up for public testimony. Hearings.
Give order from National Grid to install conduits on Union Street for service at 13 Hawthorne Boulevard.
Hearing in favor? Step up to the mic, Sabita. You state your name and address for the record.
Sabita Mahaber Shihi, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is to provide service for the new condos going in at 13 Hawthorne.
Any discussion? Councilor Gersolo?
Thank you, President Hapworth. No discussion.
Move to close the public.
I move to close the.
Anybody in opposition? And anybody else appearing in favor? Seeing none. No one in opposition. Councilor Gersolo moves to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Opposed? It was granted. Councilor Gersolo.
Thank you, President Hapworth. This is just to lay conduit for cable to St. Mary's Building at 13 Hawthorne Boulevard. It will be done all underground. And I just ask that National Grid contact the homeowners when if the street is going to be closed at any time during the construction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Gersolo moves.
I move this to be granted.
Okay,
Nope.
with a public hearing. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnewski. So one thing, Sabita, I was actually driving on Union Street today, and I had to illegally turn around on a one-way because the signs were not clearly posted and not in the way for traffic. So basically, going forward, if there's a way that you guys can just be very clear and make sure that people do not turn down Union Street while the work is happening, because it's happened to me twice, and I'm sure it's happened to many other residents. Thank you.
There will be a police detail.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Anyone in Zoom land, Madam Clerk? Thank you. Councilor Gersolo moves. The move be granted with the amendment that the neighbors, abutters be notified.
Notified when the street's going to be closed or the driveways are blocked. They've had problems in the past.
Notified.
So like Council Varela stated, to make sure they have at the end of the street if the street's going to be blocked.
I'll pass that on to the contractor. It's the customer's contractor. We'll be digging in the street. We'll only be pulling cable, so I know that we'll have police for that. I'll let the contractor know.
Thank you.
With the amendments by Councilor Gersolo, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Megan Montgomery of 45 Federal Street to the Community Preservation Committee with a term to expire May 10th, 2026.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I move that this be confirmed by roll call vote.
Councilor Watson-Felt moves that this be confirmed by roll call vote. Any discussion? Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. No major discussion, just a personal thanks to Megan for her willingness to serve as all of our volunteers do, giving their time and skills to the city. Thanks.
Is Montgomery in the audience? Should we suspend the rules to allow her to speak? I'd like to make a
We
motion.
have to vote first,
I'm
President.
sorry, first the roll call vote. Anybody, any discussion? Councilor Merkel. We get used to this.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I just wanted to quickly mention that Ms. Montgomery, who's new to Salem, I've had the pleasure of meeting and getting to know and appreciate her incredible resume and experience and her passion for communities. So I really look forward to seeing her serving on the Community Preservation Committee.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Stott,
Yes.
Council Marcillo,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Gerslo,
Yes.
Council Harvey,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council Davis,
Yes.
Council Cohen,
Yes.
and Council Prosnowski.
Yes. 11 councilors present, 11 councilors voting in the affirmative. Matter carries. Would you like to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow Ms. Montgomery to speak?
I would, Mr. President. Thank you. If Ms. Montgomery is in the audience, she's on Zoom. Okay, great. I was going to say, I don't see her here in the room. Yes, I'd like to suspend the rules if everyone would be okay with that.
Raymond.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Montgomery, I believe you can speak. You've been unmuted.
Thank you so much for all the kind words. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to serve on the Community Preservation Committee. I would have loved to have been in person, but I'm recovering from a cold and appreciate the opportunity to appear virtually. I'm really honored to join a committee that plays such an important role in shaping the future of our city. From creating more affordable housing, supporting historic preservation, open space and recreation, I'm excited to contribute to sustaining and enhancing all that makes Salem so vibrant and unique. I'm also eager to work with the City Council, committee members, and engage with the community to ensure that our resources and projects reflect our values and vision for Salem. Thank you again for trusting me with this responsibility, and I'm really looking forward to getting to work.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Robert Zach Zanzone of 91 Essex Street to the Cemetery Commission with a term to expire February 1st, 2025.
Councilor Gersolo.
Thank you, President Hepworth. I move by confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Gersolo asked that President Hapworth, I'm sorry. So it's okay.
Council President Prosnowski. Sorry.
That's all right. I do too.
Look alike.
Councilor Gersolo moves to have the confirmation by roll call vote. Any other discussion? The discussion.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I just want to thank Mr. Sanzoni for stepping up to be on this commission. I think he's overqualified for the job, and he has his work cut out for him with the Broad Street Cemetery. the Charter Street Cemetery, the Green Lawn Cemetery, and we appreciate you stepping up and taking on this role. Thank you.
Madam Clerk? Oh, sorry, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. And again, I just would like to say something quickly. I know Zach, and I'm thrilled to see him joining the Cemetery Commission. And I think it's really his incredible passion for history that is just going to serve this commission so well. And thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Stott,
Yes.
Council Marcillo,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Jerslow,
Yes.
Council Harvey,
Yes.
okay, Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council Davis,
Yes.
Council Cohen,
Yes.
and Council Prosnewski.
Yes.
Oh my God.
11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative. Robert Zach Sansone has been confirmed. Councilor Gerstle.
Thank you, President. I move to suspend the rules.
Any objection?
Mr. Sanzone, if you like.
Thank you, City Council, and thank you for your kind words. And I also like to thank the mayor for this appointment. I'm very humbled and very honored by it. I very much look forward to getting right into work, working towards preserving our very historic cemeteries in this city, which are among some of the very oldest in the United States of America. Some of my primary goals are going to be on record preservation, cemetery preservation, tombstones, maintenance, but also preserving and further presenting the history and the lives of the people buried in these places to ensure that their memories and their identities are never forgotten.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further appointments and reappointments.
We've held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of John Hayes of 13 Hancock Street to the Sustainability, Energy, and Resiliency Committee with a term to expire December 6, 2027.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Cohen moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Any discussion?
Yes, please. John is not only my neighbor. I served with John for 11 years, first the Renewable Energy Task Force, and then it was changed to the Sustainability, Energy, and Resiliency Committee, and I was John's vice chair for 7 years. He's really a terrific teacher at Salem State, brings a lot of knowledge, to the city, and I think it's really great that he's agreed to serve another term.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Stott,
Yes.
Council Marcillo,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Jerslow,
Yes.
Council Harvey,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council Davis.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't. hear you.
Yes.
Council Cohen, and Council Prosnewski.
Yes. Eleven councilors present. It was unanimous, 11-0. Days has been confirmed. Councilor Cohen?
I think it's a reappointment, so I don't know if he's going to be speaking, so I'm assuming he's not in the audience.
Yes.
He is.
Mr. Hayes, if you'd like to speak, raise your hand. Further appointments and reappointments.
The mayor's appointment of James Roger of 100 Washington Street to the Council on Aging Board with a term to expire on January 8th, 2028.
Council Watson Feld.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move that we held this under the rules.
Council Watson-Feld moves that this be held under the rules. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Appointments and reappointments.
The mayor's appointment of the following to the Salem Youth Commission with terms set forth below.
Council Varela.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move that this be held under the rules.
Council Varela moves that this be held under the rules. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor? All opposed? Carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
With the mayor's appointment of the following to the City Seal Task Force with a term to expire January 8th, 2027.
Council Varela.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I will also move this be held under the rules.
Council Varela moves that this be held under the rules. Under the discussion?
No discussion. Nope.
Councilor Gerselo.
President Presnusky, I was just wondering, there's only 6 appointments. Yes, 6 appointments. When they did the City Sale Task Force, the mayor was supposed to appoint 7. I know of residents in Salem that actually wrote to the mayor. They're well qualified for it and they've never heard back. So I'm wondering if he is actually appointing more, or is this the 6 where he should be appointing 7?
Council Varela.
Thank you, President Presnusky. So right now, as it stands, we have one youth appointee that is not on this list as of now. And then the other appointments would be through the order, which is Public Art Commission, the city clerk, to name a few. So I believe that the youth is not chosen yet, and hopefully we'll have that next meeting.
So, go ahead.
Further discussion, Council Cohen.
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify, so it's 5 residents, 2 historians that would be confirmed by the city council. And because the resident who is a youth has not been appointed yet, that's why there's only 6 in front of us.
Council Hepworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll just add that while we don't normally have discussion when it's held under the rules, this is why it's held under the rules, is so that we can have this time to ask those questions of the mayor, of anybody else who has that information.
Council Varela votes that this be held under the rules. All in favor? All opposed? That carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $100,000 is hereby appropriated from the general fund balance reserved for free cash to Human Resources Department workers' comp medicals to pay unanticipated workers' compensation costs for medical claims.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move for suspension of the rules.
Council Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. All those in favor?
Or seeing no objection.
Oh, seeing no objection. Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move for adoption.
Merkel moves for adoption. All those in favor? Opposed?
Under discussion.
Under discussion. Sorry.
This is to cover medical expenses for 2 employees' work-related injuries prior to the city securing workers' comp coverage with MIA, which we obtained several years ago, and we are responsible for the costs associated with these claims.
Council Merkel moves that the sum of 100. I'm sorry, any further discussion? Seeing none. Councilor Merkel moves that the sum of $100,000 be appropriated from the general fund balance reserve free cash to Human Resources Department, workers' comp, medicals. Pay unanticipated workers' compensation costs for medical claims in accordance with the recommendation of the mayor. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have ordered that the sum of $60,000 previously appropriated in fiscal year 2023 within the capital outlay account for school department moving costs is hereby repurposed to capital outlay account to support mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and life safety repairs at the school department.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move for suspension of the rules.
Council Merkel votes for suspensions of the rules under discussion. Objection? Seeing none. Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption.
Discussion.
All those under discussion.
Thank you. These funds were appropriated in fiscal year 2023 in the hopes of using them to move the New Liberty and Salem prep schools to a new facility, which didn't happen. So Mr. Alapakis, who is our Director of Buildings and Grounds for Salem Public Schools, has asked that these funds be reclassified. So as the order says, the department can use them for repairs for safety, mechanical, and electric, and repairs of that nature.
Council Merkel moves that the sum of $60,000 appropriated for fiscal 2023 by the school department. Further support the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and repairs of the school department. And Council Merkel moves for adoption. All those in favor?
Any further discussion?
All those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have ordered that the sum of $20,451.60 be approved within the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the contractual buybacks listed below.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for suspension of the rules.
Any objection? Seeing none, Council Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you. This is a contractual obligation, and we thank Beth Contos for her service to our Salem Public Schools Department and wish her happy retirement.
Council Merkel moves. I'm sorry, under discussion. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presnowski. In addition to all her good work as a teacher, I do want to recognize that Beth Contos has served for many years as a labor union leader. The last few years, the president of the Massachusetts American Federation of Teachers, and she's really served the city and the children in many ways.
Further discussion. Seeing none. Matter that the sum of $20,451 be appropriated to retiring teacher Beth Contos. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We've been ordered that the sum of $15,000 be approved within the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the contractual buyback listed below.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for suspension of the rules.
Any objection? Seeing none, Council Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption. Any discussion?
Again, these are contractual obligations.
Any further discussion? Council Merkel moves. Sum of $15,000 moved to the stabilization fund for the Salem Firefighters Union. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We've been ordered that the sum of $4,748.82 be approved within the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the contractual buybacks listed below.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for suspension of the rules.
Council Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. Any objections? Seeing none, Council Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption. Under discussion.
This is another contractual obligation.
Any further discussion? Council Merkel moves at the sum of $4,748.82. Move to Mr. Spack retiring from the Salem Public Library. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications of the mayor.
We've been ordered to accept the donation from Joan Connolly Johnson in memory of her cousin Henry Bud Connolly in the amount of $1,000 for Pioneer Village.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption. Any discussion?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Joan Connolly Johnson for her generous donation in memory of her cousin.
Any further discussion? Council Merkel moves for adoption. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Other communications from the mayor.
We have an order for a home rule petition authorizing the city of Salem to employ automated enforcement of speed limit violations in designated school zones within the city of Salem.
Council Marcillo.
Thank you, President
Waive the reading.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Council Marcillo moves for adoption by roll call vote on the discussion.
Thank you, President. I want to start by thanking the mayor for resubmitting this home rule petition, which, by the way, is about 6 pages long in the backup. It's not just what's on the agenda tonight. The state legislature began a new 2-year term on January 1st, and all the previously filed bills are now dead, so we need to resubmit this. This is the same home rule petition submitted 2 years ago, over 3 years ago, and about 6 years ago. The use of automated enforcement in school zones will do one thing: make it safer for students going to and from school. Massachusetts is one of only a handful of states that do not allow automated enforcement of speed or red light violations. The use of cameras to enforce traffic laws has proven to be effective. Automated enforcement is equitable. Bias or targeting does not enter the equation. This home rule petition stipulates that violations will only be mailed to the owner of the vehicle if the speed was more than 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. The violations will not become a part of the owner's driving record or a moving violation. But if a fine is not paid, or if the violation is upheld on appeal and not paid, it will be reported to the registry and will need to be paid before re-registering the vehicle. This is not an attempt to raise money by the city. As stated in the home rule petition, the funds collected from violations will be used for road safety projects and driver education. And all camera locations will have signs in advance of the camera to alert drivers. Just 2 weeks ago, the state legislature passed a bill allowing enforcement of school bus passing laws through video cameras mounted on school bus stop arms. Municipalities need to opt into this type of enforcement, and I look forward to Salem signing on. This is the first time video evidence and enforcement will be allowed in the state. Because Salem and Peabody participated in a pilot program to place cameras on school buses, an embarrassing and alarming number of school bus passing violations have been recorded. For the lives of school children, we need this type of enforcement. This home rule petition is an extension of the school bus video enforcement. Speeding in school zones is dangerous and adds to the unsafe environment our children navigate every day in order to receive an education. I hope that Representative Cruz and Senator Lovely will shepherd this through the legislature in a timely manner. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Council Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski, and thank you, Councilor Marcillo, for that summation. Sometimes copy paste doesn't make me as excited, but I am, I think, more hopeful this year than have been in past years, especially due to the recent passage of the school bus enforcement cameras that maybe this year, this one will get passed as well. These are our most vulnerable walkers, our children going to school. I definitely wish it was a little broader, but we definitely need to start somewhere. And this is a great place to start. Just to, I don't want to repeat all of what Councilor Marcillo said, but that data that we saw of those school bus violations was alarming. It was excruciatingly painful to read, knowing that that large number of our students, our children in Salem are put in harm's way multiple times on a daily basis. So I really do think that this will cause an effect and be positive in behavior around the school buses and hopefully school zones in the following year. So this year I'm slightly more hopeful and thankful for our representatives at the state level, Rep. Cruz and Senator Lovely, for helping shepherd this through. And I am looking forward to this one passing as well.
Any further discussion? Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Echo Councillor Stott's gratitude to the mayor and Councillor Marcillo for keeping this front and center. For the councillors who were here, it was really instructive when the 8th graders from the Salt and Salt School came and spoke to the council. I'm hoping this goes through quickly. It's way past due, but I'm actually in favor of this being considered a moving violation. There are moving violations that, go on people's records and affect, their ability to drive if they violate it enough. And we've all seen people not stop when, a school bus stops, and it's outrageous. And it's really not just the children, because a lot of times it's a parent, helping their child get off and on the school bus. And I think most people would expect people to be somewhat courteous. And this is one example where people don't have to rush to be where they have to be.
Councilor Harvey.
I agree with Councilor Cohen. Thank you, President Presnowski. I firmly believe it should be a moving violation. I mean, if I get a ticket for taking a right turn when I'm not supposed to, why shouldn't somebody that's passing a bus when they're not supposed to be getting a ticket? Or even, at least on their record. I can personally contest to, I hear, being that my wife is a school bus driver, some of the horror stories when she comes home on a regular basis. And not so much just for the students too, but you got to take that bus driver into effect too, because they can't get off the bus, but yet they sit there and watch some of their students almost get wiped out by cars because they're passing the bus when they're not supposed to. I firmly believe it should be a moving violation. Thank you.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Not to belabor the fact, or the point, I guess, that I support everything that has been said, and thank everybody for articulating their positions on this. I share all of it. I think it's also just not enough. I'm hopeful that passing this through or getting this through the state with positive support would then also open up the door for additional incremental camera-based enforcement when it comes to traffic. We have seen a massive increase in the running of red lights. We've seen the massive increase in illegal turns. We've seen a massive increase on, not stopping when there's a walk light or going when there's a walk light that's active. Drivers, I don't know what happened. We've talked a lot about it in this chamber, but coming out of COVID, both walkers and drivers, everybody sort of just forgot how to do things. And unfortunately, when you're the one who's driving a 2-ton vehicle, you are and should be hugely responsible for the safety of everyone else around you and yourself and whoever you're taking along with you. So I'm hopeful that as Councillor Stott said, that this is just an opportunity to continue this conversation, to start something new and to see enforcement build in Massachusetts when it comes to using cameras for traffic enforcement violations. Thank you.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Through you to Councillor Marcello, could you clarify why there's not a moving violation on here? I'm sure there's an explanation. Thank you.
Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, President. And I do not want to be an apologist for someone who's breaking the law. The problem is that it's video evidence. And so it's not an officer pulling over a driver and handing them a ticket. And that's why you can't necessarily, again, I'm not going to defend this, but you can't necessarily make a 100% conclusion that that person that you saw was the person with the license. I mean, it's just a technicality of how the violation is written. So possibly as video enforcement and camera angles and everything gets better, we can pinpoint the exact driver. But until that time, we just need a way to send them a ticket and make it, make the point to them that they can't speed in school zones, or if we ever get to that point, they can't make red light violations. It's just the way it is. So.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I know this is my second point on the matter, but just as a reminder to the public as well, this was one of the many things that came up when Councilor Varela and I were talking through decibel enforcement, so sound ordinance enforcement through the use of cameras and decibel readers at traffic lights. The conversation for those that were not a part of it at the time or would like more information about it is that, as Councilor Marcillo stated, camera enforcement in Massachusetts is currently just not an allowed means of enforcement across the state. And so anything that sort of hinges off the use of an automated reader of any kind, which includes decibels, which includes cameras, all of that, has to go through this home rule petition process. And so we have to sort of go one at a time. And we're hoping, I think to my previous comment, we're hoping that when we get these things passed through, it opens the roadway a little, no pun intended, a little bit more for more automated enforcement opportunities. Thanks.
Any further discussion? On the motion, we adopt this by roll call vote, an act authorizing the city of Salem to employ automatic enforcement of speed violations in designated school zones within the city limits. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Stott,
Yes.
Council Marcillo,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Jerslow,
Yes.
Council Harvey,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council Davis,
Yes.
Council Cohen,
Yes.
and Council Prosnewski.
Yes. 11 members present, 11 members voting. Vote is unanimous. Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order for a home rule petition for providing for payments in lieu of taxes by the South Essex Sewer District in the city of Salem.
Council Hapworth.
Order that a petition.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. I want to thank the mayor for bringing this forward. This has been one of our favorite things to complain about, and something that's just objectively unfair. And this, I'm sorry. I move for adoption by roll call vote, and then we'll go discussion.
Under discussion.
Thank you. So just objectively unfair. And for those at home, tonight we're considering a petition to address a long-standing inequity with the SESD facility. In 1993, the legislature set Salem's annual pilot program, allotting for costs of hosting SESD on our waterfront at $500,000, but they failed to include any adjustment for inflation. Over the past 30 years, this oversight has cost Salem taxpayers roughly $6 million in lost revenue, money that could have gone toward services, infrastructure, and other critical needs. This petition proposes gradually increasing the payment toward starting at $600,000 in 2025 and rising to $1 million by 2029. After that, payments would adjust annually with inflation by at least 2%. It's a modest but fair adjustment that recognizes the financial and environmental burdens Salem has carried for decades as the host community of this regional facility. For 3 decades, Salem taxpayers have been unfairly subsidizing this arrangement, which has benefited communities like Beverly and Marblehead. Supporting this petition will correct an unjust situation, ensuring that Salem receives fair compensation for a critical role we play in supporting the region.
Any further discussion, Council Marcillo?
Thank you, President. I find this home rule petition process to be frustrating, to say the least. Too often, the hands of municipalities are tied when it comes to making well-researched decisions that are right and just for them. In this case, Salem needs to ask or beg the legislature to allow us to collect a fair pilot from member communities of the South Essex Sewerage District. The pilot, originally agreed upon over 30 years ago, set a flat rate with no inflationary escalator. Now, 3 decades later, Salem is on the losing end of the agreement. Our coastal land, the most desirable in any community, hosts a sewage facility, not Marblehead, Beverly, or Danvers, not Peabody, Middleton, or Wenham. Yet, we bear the burden of broken pipes, traffic, odor complaints, complicated street excavation and repair due to transfer pipes from other communities layered under our streets. The request in the home rule petition is a very modest increase given the location of the property. 2 years ago, when this home rule petition was originally submitted, a quick calculation showed a ratepayer increase for the member communities outside of Salem of much less than $1 per quarter. We need the political will of all of our elected officials for this to pass. And I urge everyone to contact Senator Lovely and Representative Cruz, but mainly Senator Lovely, in support of this home rule petition. It's unfortunate that getting just compensation in the form of an updated pilot requires the legislature, but here we are again.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. I was at the last board meeting for SESD, and I actually brought this up. Senator Lovely was there, Representative Kearns from Danvers, and several others. Most of the people, because every community was represented, acted either ignorant or upset. I've actually, after that meeting, I received calls from people from the individual communities and explained it's not just that we're paying an unfair share housing this facility. It's a great facility. It's one of, I think, only 2 in the country that are underground. So it doesn't have the same kind of impact to the community. However, it's on the water. It's going to be subjected to more climate issues, which is going to cost the city more to really mitigate the issues. And so in addition to, I agree with Councilor Marcillo that Senator Lovely and Rep. Cruz, but don't be afraid to reach out to Senator Crichton and Rep. Kearns and Rep. Paracella, as long as he's there, and other people, because they are all going to have a vote that's going to affect us.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Council Happer's motion, that an act providing the payment in lieu of taxes by the South Essex Sewerage District in the city of Salem be sent to our state for a home rule petition. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Stott,
Yes.
Council Marcillo,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Gerslow,
Yes.
Council Harvey,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council Davis,
Yes.
Council Cohen,
Yes.
and Council Prosnewski.
Yes. 11 members present, 11 members voting in affirmative. Matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. Resolution in support of Massachusetts Healthy Incentives Program. Whereas in Massachusetts, the Healthy Incentives Program, referred to as HIP, automatically applies to anyone who receives SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, benefits and allows them to receive limited reimbursement when they purchase local fruits and vegetables. And whereas the Department of Transitional Assistance announced on October 17th, 2024, to HIP vendors that starting on December 1st, monthly reimbursements will be reduced to $20 per household, regardless of household size, from a variable $40 to $80 based on household size. And whereas HIP serves as a critical tool in the fight against food and nutritional insecurity, which is pronounced among low-income Salem residents. And whereas vendors at the Salem Farmers Market signed up for the HIP program rely on the sales that they receive with the support of programs like SNAP and HIP to sustain themselves. And whereas HIP participation is up 19% as compared to last year, and the need for state and local governments to support their residents' nutritional security is likely to increase if federal support decreases. And whereas the Salem City Council recognizes as its duty to advocate on behalf of our constituents who rely on these critical state-funded programs. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salem City Council calls upon Governor Maura Healey, State President Karen Spilka, Speaker of the House Ron Mariano, State Ways and Means Chair, the House Ways and Means Chair, to support the additional funds needed to fully fund HIP in the supplemental budget and request that our city clerk forward a copy of this resolution to each of their offices, as well as Salem's state delegation. And I move this be adopted by roll call vote.
Council Merkel moves that it be adopted by roll call vote. Further discussion?
Thank you, President Prosnewski. Yes, Carrie Murphy, our health and wellness coordinator, had approached me about this. And also our mayor has sent a letter in support to our state legislators as well. Stretching SNAP dollars is incredibly challenging. I know from the work I've been doing in the last 10 years to assist our residents who are facing food insecurity, and also my own experiences years ago as a single mother stretching those food stamp dollars. And this program helps do that while supporting local farmers, and it supports healthy eating. So it's really, this program is just a win-win. The Salem Farmers Market sees an average of 15 HIP customers per week during market season. And HIP vendors at our markets include Chickadee Hill Farms and Wally's. And I'd like to mention that we also received emails in support for this today, including from the director of Salem Main Streets, who runs the Salem Farmers Market, and our Food Policy Council. And I look forward to this hopefully passing this evening and continue advocating for the HIP to be fully funded moving forward. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Council Davis.
Thank you, President Hapworth. Just want, oh my God. Thank you, President Prosnewski.
I've got to lose 40 years.
And thank you, President. Oh my gosh. Councilor Merkel, for bringing this forward. It does seem like, from the governor and state legislator, we're finding out about a new program that's being defunded, not being fully funded, from housing to food insecurity. Incredibly frustrating. This isn't something that I was aware of until it was on the agenda. So I appreciate it being there, and I appreciate our ability as a council to, call out these, the defunding of these services that are so critical for all the reasons that were pointed out. So appreciate this being on the agenda.
Any further discussion? Council Varela.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. I thank you, Councilor Merkel, for bringing this forward, and Carrie Murphy. When it comes to HIP and SNAP, this is always something that it's always on the verge of either not being funded or funded. And this year with the legislature, it ended up on the wrong side. Again, if anyone wants to reach out, I think it's really important that we advocate this to the Massachusetts Food System Caucus, Rep. Hannah Kane and Ann Goby. This is always something that is really important for everyone to reach out and voice their opinion about this, because the HIP program and SNAP is one of the most important things we have when it comes to food insecurity in the Commonwealth. So I hope that things fall into place. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Council Merkel's moves to adopt by roll call vote the resolution in support of the Massachusetts Healthy Incentives Programs. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Jerslow?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Prosnewski?
Yes. 11 members present, 11 members voting in the affirmative. That carries. For the motions, orders, and resolutions, Councilor Cohen.
In the year 2025, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to business neighborhood zoning be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 3.1, Table of Principal and Accessory Use Regulations of the zoning ordinance is hereby amended by A, replacing the N in the B1 zoning district column with a BA for two commercial uses: commercial recreation, indoor restaurant with service of alcoholic beverages. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move that this is referred to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing.
For the record, Councilor Varela has recused himself from this matter. Councilor Cohen moves to refer this planning to the planning board, scheduled for a joint public hearing. All those in favor?
Oh.
I'm sorry, under discussion.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I think I got that right. So this is a bringing back. I spoke to the solicitor to make sure that the process was complete. It had to be through the calendar year and could be resubmitted as of January 1st. And the reason I'm bringing this back is I believe we need further review. I took my microscope out to the zoning map, and there is over 20 B1 zones, 7 of them in Ward 5. There's one that's actually one parcel on Glover Street. Never been a bar, restaurant, workout facility or whatever. I then went and spoke to people who either lived or worked or owned businesses in the other 6 B1s. I also spoke to as many residents as I could surrounding them, and it's really complicated. For example, one of the B1s that's around Lafayette Park, immediately adjacent to it is a bar, which serves food, or a place that serves food that serves cocktails. So I just believe that we should go through the same process. People can vote as they want, but I do believe that it's very confusing why we have B1s in the first place. They're very arbitrary. If you do have them in your ward and you look at it, you might actually try to figure out what was there, what's there now, why is it there, why some of these businesses that do exist, which wouldn't exist, if they came afterwards, are really central to the neighborhood, and the neighborhood depends on them. People walk to them for whatever business they have. And so all I want to do is go through the process again as we did before, and I appreciate everyone being open to that.
Further discussion, Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I was surprised to see this in front of us, as we did just have this discussion about 100 days ago. I believe ended it in September. I agree with Councilor Cohen's comments that our zoning appears to be very arbitrary, doesn't make sense, is a very confusing patchwork. B1 locations don't make any sense. I would love to have that conversation in front of us. This conversation that's in front of us is one that we spent 4 months hashing out, again, just 100 days ago. We can do that again if that's the will of the body, for sure. And it sounds like, we're going to start that process again, but we just had 4 months of the conversation from May or so, close it out in September. And it's the same body. So it'll be interesting to see how views have changed, perhaps. But I'm very curious why we're not having that underlying conversation that was discussed, and instead we're just bringing this back up again. Thank you.
Also, Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. I want to agree with both my colleagues. As was said during the 4-month-long journey we all went on together when this first came before us, it is 2% of the commercial parcels in the city. It's a small number. The boundary lines are very strange and awkward, and there's all kinds of things happening on all sides across the entire city. But I want to thank Councilor Cohen for the data that he provided just now, because I think it's a helpful reminder to understand that this is a citywide opportunity. That's how I think about it. It's not specific to any one ward, any one neighborhood, or any one type of business. So it's really important that we keep that in mind. I am in support of bringing this back. I am excited that we will begin anew on this topic, but I also absolutely echo Councilor Stott's comments that it is that the zoning table in and of itself is just full of so many strange little band-aids and layers, and I do think that this body is uniquely positioned to have a broader conversation around our zoning, and I hope that we will all see more of that in 2025 as we work together, because we can begin. It is hard work, it is grueling work, it is emotional work, it is cultural work, it is historic work, it is all kinds of things. It touches all parts of our identity as a city, no doubt. But it is also I think there's a real opportunity here. So I echo the frustration. And I think that we need to begin to look at the table holistically. And I don't know yet exactly what that looks like, or what, how that comes before us, but we should all be having conversations and collaborating and figuring out what that looks like, because I share her position. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, under Councilor Cohen's motion to refer to the planning board, schedule a joint public hearing on this matter. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further motions and resolutions. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. In the year 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic be it ordained by the City Council in the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 10 of Article 1 be amended by inserting the following. Pioneer Terrace one-way streets from the intersection with the access road, 5 Pioneer Terrace to Lafayette Place in a westerly direction. Section 2, Section 551 of Article 5 be amended by repealing the following. Lafayette Place parking prohibited at certain streets.
Waive the reading.
Thank you so much. I moved, yes, he was. I moved that this is adopted for first pass.
Councilor Cohen moves for adoption by first passage. Under discussion. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you. This is a process that's been more than 100 days. Started out with a meeting that was started by some parents of students of the Salem School. And we still have a lot of work to do at the access road behind the school, but it was Salem Housing Authority, Transportation Department, Chief Miller, Lieutenant Tucker, and then another meeting with Director Kucharski, Superintendent Zreich, Chief Miller, Lieutenant Tucker. Basically what this is it addresses a number of things. The fire department has a lot of trouble negotiating the way down there when people are parked on Lafayette Place. The south side of Lafayette Place is too narrow for people to park on both sides. It's always kind of been in effect, but not in the ordinance for no parking on that side. So that's just making that part of the ordinance. It's making a one-way through Pioneer Terrace from the water side to almost where Salem Street is. And although there's been some discussion about which ways we should make the one-way, it seems to be a little bit easier. The Housing Authority really prefers to go from the water side to the other side. And so these are a combination of making it easier for people to navigate and for, first responders, people like that, and is one of the steps we're taking to make the area behind the Salt and Stall safer. It's not in the ordinance, but there's going to be some striping, signs that say no U-turns. If people have been down there, people make U-turns a lot. They drop off their kids, they turn around. People, to avoid Lafayette Street, constantly drive down to like Green Street and behind the Salt and Stall School. So it's really a bad convergence of people trying to get to where they need to get to and people dropping off kids, and also people who live in the Pioneer Terrace who, in many cases have mobility challenges. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank Councilor Cohen for bringing this forward. As a Salt and Stall parent, it is absolute chaos back there. And we can't rely upon a crossing guard to control all of that traffic and all of that craziness that happens there. And the U-turns is absolutely a major issue on that street there. And just last week, almost saw 2 kids get hit from U-turns that happened over there. So appreciate you bringing this forward, Councilor Cohen, and look forward to this.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Cohen's motion to adopt this for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. City of Salem, January 9th, 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, be it ordained by the City Council as follows. Section 150B, Thank you. Oh, you just make me go through it, guys. Thank you. I'll be brief about this. This is coming under the recommendation of Lieutenant Tucker. We've had I motion that this be adopted for first passage.
Council Varela moves for adoption by first passage under discussion.
Thank
Council
you.
Varela.
Thank you, President Presnowski. So this comes under the recommendation of Lieutenant Tucker. And just to let everyone know, it kind of looks a little odd. We've had number 326 apply or request a handicap parking space, and 2 days later, we had someone from number 338 also. So this is just coming all at once, but obviously appreciate your support, and so do the residents of Jefferson Ave that need handicap placards and spots. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on Council Varela's motion for adoption for first passage. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Committee reports. None. Communications from city officials.
We've been ordered that $180,000 is hereby appropriated within the CPA funds for fiscal year 25 to the account listed below for the Old Town Hall exterior restoration.
Council Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption on the discussion.
Thank you. The Community Preservation Committee voted to recommend funding for $180,000 for the Old Town Hall exterior restoration project. There's a lot of info in our backup documentation about this. I'm starting on page 54. And you might remember our discussion about this work at our December 5th council meeting. This is another piece of the funding, which included grants and other resources. And the work is extensive, including improving the access in and out of the building, ADA improvements, energy efficiency. And yes, I ask that we move for adoption.
Council Merkel moves for adoption. Any further discussion? Seeing none, under the motion that $180,000 be moved and be appropriated within the CPA fund for repairs on the Old Town Hall. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Petitions.
We have the following license applications for junk dealer Seaworms, secondhand clothing, and secondhand valuables.
Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Council Hapworth moves that it be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have the following 5 claims.
Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Council Hapworth moves that it be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion?
No discussion.
No discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have the second passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Council on Aging.
Council Harvey.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for second and final passage.
Council Harvey moves for second and final passage. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Council Harvey moves for second and final passage on ordinance amending Chapter 2, Council on Aging. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
The second passage of an ordinance relative to Chapter 2, Section 146, Mayor City Annual Report.
Council Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for second and final passage.
Council Stott moves for second and final passage. Discussion?
Thank you. So just a reminder, this is an update to codify our Halloween reporting, and I am looking forward to Chair Watson-Feld's first meeting. Right? Yes, it's going to be a doozy. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really, truly am. This is definitely one of the most interesting meetings of the year that I think we get questions on all year round. And I just refer back to the information that's provided in this meeting. It's a recap of revenues and expenses for the Halloween season, as well as really just anything else that comes up during that time. Like, for example, last year we talked about tour guides and tour buses and fees and public safety. There are just so many aspects involved in this. It's really great to have this large meeting with some information in front of us to review. So I move for second and final passage.
Further discussion? Seeing none. On the motion, the council sought second passage relative to Chapter 2, Section 148 of the Mayor's City Annual Report. All those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, matter carries. Oh, back it up. Under discussion, Councilor Cohen.
A point of personal privilege, President Presnowski. A couple of weeks ago, it was really unfortunate that after a short illness, Julie Rose passed away. For people who didn't know Julie, she served on many nonprofit boards, sometimes leading them, the Salem Academy, Historic Salem, Salem Education Foundation, Salem Award Foundation. While she was the head of the Salem Award Foundation, which is now Voices Against Injustice, she and I and the Center, me representing the then No Place for Hate Committee, Center for Genocide and Holocaust Studies, did a really powerful symposium on intimidation. And it was really amazing. And much of that was because of Julie organization. As the longtime business agent for the city of Salem, she may be Salem's best grant writer. She wrote lots of grants. She got a grant that for 2 years, we had free monthly e-waste collection, including TVs, whatever. She started Salem Recycles, all the book swaps and textile collections. Julie and I rarely agreed on anything politically. She would drive by my house and call me and ask me why Dominic's sign was in my yard. And I said it was, prettier than Neil's. But at one point, she got a grant when Salem went to mandatory recycling, which created the job that I took for a recycling coordinator, which is now the waste reduction coordinator. And for people who know Julie, she was very direct, very assertive. And when I first went to work for her, within probably 5 minutes of me taking the job, hundreds of people called asking how I could work for her. Every Friday we met for an hour and she told me what to do the next week. I did it and we got along just fine after that. She was actually the best boss I ever had. And for people who didn't know her, I'm sure the people who know her understand this. She was really all about helping people and she really accomplished stuff. And the reason I brought this up today is because it's our first meeting. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff to deal with. We're going to differ on a lot of stuff, but I know that we're going to be a productive council. And if Julie was in the room, she'd probably tell us to just get on with it and get some stuff done. So I just want to recognize her life. She was 67 years old and she really contributed in so many ways to the city of Salem.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnowski, and thank you, Councilor Cohen. I like you. I worked really closely with Julie on the Salem Theater Company board, actually, and also I didn't have to work for it. You're right, and also the Women's Friend Society, and with Julie and I, similar to your description, she showed up at the Salem Theater Company board, and a bunch of kids were running the show, and she taught me a lot about nonprofit board management and community engagement and community leadership and what it looked like to be a person of service and value. So thank you a lot for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. And I'm sorry I'm crying.
Thank you. Just before I call on Councilor Marcello, I'd just like to thank the council for their patience with me tonight. Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, President Presnowski, and you did a fine job at your first meeting. I move to adjourn.
Councilor Marcello moves to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? We are adjourned.